The following show is brought to you by the CANUCKLEHEADS Broadcasting Company, eh? All right, and I think we're live, eh, buddy? Hi, everyone. My name is Frankie. I'm from the New West Reset channel.
And I'm Chris over at Old World Exploration.
And welcome. Thank you very much for joining us here for another episode of the CANUCKLEHEADS Show. Episode 14. Is that right? That can't be right. That's right.
Oh, yeah.
Huh. What are we looking at here tonight?
Well, probably the jewel, Old World jewel of Canada, I would say. Not to put it on a pedestal, because there are other locations, but we got a lot of Quebec City Old World juice to bring you here tonight.
Yes, Quebec City, Canada's oldest walled city. At least that's what they tell us.
The only walled city north of Mexico in North America, I read.
It's some pretty highfalutin bragging rights for up here in Canada land.
Well,
eh?
you know, we you know how we do.
We just, we got that inferiority complex, so we got to overcompensate, eh?
we can handle those cold
winters. That's right.
Our fingers don't get cold.
Well, we got to double dip those donuts. That's how we like to do it.
That's right. That's right.
So yeah, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us here, the CANUCKLEHEADS Show, episode 14. And yeah, as Chris mentioned, old Quebec City, walled city. So how's everybody doing? How you doing, Chris? What's happening? How you doing there in the western side of the mountains?
Yeah, we're actually below or above zero right now, so we got a little slushy snow drip going on, and we got Christmas right around the corner here, so the kids are getting excited for that.
Yes, yeah. Canadian Christmas, much like Canadian Thanksgiving. No, I'm just kidding. Canadian Christmas is at the same day as everybody else.
Yeah.
Could you imagine? Canadian Christmas is
3 weeks before.
3 weeks ahead. Yeah, imagine.
Yeah.
What are they doing up there?
There are a bunch of Christmases scattered all over the place, though, aren't there? There's like the Dutch do it in the first week of December, and Ukrainians do it at the first week of January. And
yeah. There's the Ukrainian Christmas. There's the Greek Orthodox Christmas.
Yeah.
Which is late also. I think it's the same as Ukrainian.
Same one, yeah. Orthodox Christian, that's right.
Yeah.
Feast of the Epiphany, they call that. The Feast of the Epiphany.
I don't know. They just wear extra fancy mitre hats. That's what I know.
Yeah. Who's in the chat here? Who we got?
We've got a whole bunch of crazy CANUCKLEHEADS joining us from all over the place. Hippie Shake is here. Hi, Hippie. Hippie's from over there in Wales, in the Welshland area there, eh? Scott Pike. Hi, Scott. Da Phoenix. Good to see you. Vaughn's here as well. And Kathy. Freya. Hello, Freya.
Hey, Freya.
Quebec.
I was trying to figure out what that says. Quebec. I got it. I figured it out.
Did I say Quebec? That's right. That's right. Mad Pax is here. Hello, Jason. Marshall. Good to see you.
Thanks for joining us all.
So Quebec City, yeah, the old walled city. And I've been there a couple of times, being a Quebecer myself originally. I'm an Albertan now. And much like you were saying, it's above zero here too, and the snow's melting. Just in time for us to get more. Hooray!
Hey.
Anyway, I guess it's better than it piling up for 4 feet or 6 feet. But anyhow.
Well, you know what I did today? I went and grabbed a wiper blade from Canadian Tire because my old wiper blade was getting a little bit fussy. You ever done that?
You was it making the weird skipping across the windshield and making the
no, it was missing a couple lines here and there. So
oh, you're just getting the massive streakage that goes right across your field of view.
yeah.
And you're like, oh, look out, hey, I can't get in the drive-through at Timmy's if I can't see.
You're
so I
guessing
gotta go
half
to
the time.
Canadian Tire. I love Canadian Tire.
Well, you get slush and a mixture of the dirt they put on the roads here, and it's spraying up at your windshield the whole time you're driving. The thing's working overtime just to give you a clear path.
Not enough wiper fluid in the world either, too.
That's right. That's
to hose that down out there. Come on, that's your own mini mud flood right on your windshield. I can't see.
We buy them by the case at Canadian Tire up here.
Well, I love Canadian Tire.
Yeah. It is. Is it? You guys, maybe Americans don't know what Canadian Tire is.
Yeah, you guys, a lot of people in the chat from all over the realm are like, what are these guys talking about a tire store for? Oh, it's much more than a tire store, people. It's like Walmart and the Sears Automotive and Rona, Revy. I don't know what's a big Home Depot.
Home Depot, yeah.
All wrapped into one. But you can also buy a new sofa. That's right, a Chesterfield couch, a settee, if you will.
And you can get your tires changed there as well.
Get your tires changed, or oil changed, or while you're doing that, shop around, get yourself a new microwave.
It's basically where Costco got their idea from.
Get a new rug for your living room.
That's right. Decorate your Christmas tree.
Get all your Christmas
stuff right now.
Haberdashery in there.
Yeah.
Plus, you can get yourself some new power tools.
Yep.
And the kids can run off to the pet section and get a hamster because there's a pet department. They have everything, man. It's crazy. It's madness. The Canadian Tire it's like you passed on to another dimension in which it's the most convenient retail store in the world.
You didn't tell me you had a new sponsor. Wow.
And they still send well, I was going to say they used to, but Canada Post is on strike now, people. So
the flyer you're talking about.
The Canadian Tire flyer.
Yes.
It's the greatest. You get that in the mail at least once a month.
Yeah. That's a good read.
Thumb through that while you're having a coffee in the morning.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, look at this. Heavy duty batteries are on sale. Car batteries, I mean. Because, in Canada, every couple of years, you got to buy a new battery. Let's face it.
But you don't buy it when it's at full price.
No, you're crazy. You're crazy.
Be crazy. Yeah.
You look in the flyer and you get it for the sale price. Plus, you probably got, $30, $35 worth of Canadian Tire money in your wallet right now, don't you?
That's right.
Canadian Tire money is money issued by Canadian Tire over and above your change that they give you.
Yep.
So if you pay, let's say something's $15, you give them a $20 bill. It's a terrible example because I don't know anybody who pays with cash anymore, but they give you $5 in change in real money, but also some change in Canadian Tire money, which you come back and spend in Canadian Tire to buy stuff.
That's right.
So even if you don't buy something on sale, which is ludicrous, because you let's face it, you will. You can get even cheaper with the Canadian Tire money.
That's right, and it adds up. When they ask you every time, do you want to redeem your Canadian Tire bucks, or because now they chart it online, you don't even need the physical bill.
Oh, see, no, I like the money.
It makes it feel wealthy, like a Rockefeller, eh? Walking around.
That's right. I'm a Canadian Tire Rockefeller.
Yes. I like that. So am I.
Because come on, man. I'm going to Google image it right now because I think the Canadian Tire money looks pretty good.
Yeah, you got to show the folks.
This is a weird tangent, but people don't understand. Canadian Tire's they just celebrated their 100th year.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, man. Let me just quickly.
You can't find a Canadian Tire bill online?
No.
When I was a kid, we'd always raid the folks' Canadian Tire money stash too. I don't think we ever spent it, but it felt good to have what looked like a $50 bill in there.
It looked like money because, it is money.
It is, yeah.
I mean, technically it's money, sorta. Yeah, no, I found it.
Show the good people what we're
I'm
talking
just,
about.
oh yeah, it's
There we go.
There you go.
Nice.
And this is like the 4th or 5th generation. I mean, back in the day, it was like different colors and a lot more swirly swirls. I mean, it looked like real money. Like they actually gave a crap when they were making this stuff.
It was close, right? And I think that's General Tire, Captain Tire.
This guy? I don't know.
Bill, the founder of Canadian Tire.
Scotty McTire.
That's right. Yeah.
Scotty McTire, the founder of Canadian Tire.
Yeah.
He was half Newfoundlander and half Scottish. Nope, I have no idea.
Don't mislead the people with this information.
It's fake news.
Fake news. We don't want to be putting out any lies here on this.
No, we're the ones poking holes in the fibs and fabrications around here.
We're trying, anyway. We're trying.
But yeah, the Canadian Tire money was good stuff, man. Way nicer look at, like people say that, like Monopoly money, and they even say Canadian money kind of looks like Monopoly money. But the Canadian Tire money very much reflected our actual currency because it looked bright and it was all kind of crazy looking.
Yeah.
It's like they dropped acid before they started designing what the money was going to look like.
The 60s, probably. CIA. Yeah. Blame the CIA for doing that, right?
It's MK Ultra bucks.
That's right. Where are we going with this?
I don't know. That's McGill University. That's Montreal. We're going to go to Quebec City.
All right. Let's go to Quebec.
Which I've been to. I lived in Montreal, but went to Quebec City a couple times as a kid, mostly in the winter for Carnival, for the big winter festival there.
Oh,
Yeah.
My son went there with his grade 7 class last year, but I've never been.
Really? What did he say? What did he think? Do you think it was pretty cool?
Yeah, he liked it. They went and checked out one of the churches, St. Anne, which we'll see, and then the Chateau Frontenac and a couple other old places in the fort area there. So I think it's a tourist loop they do. They bring all the kids through and give them the narrative, feed them the narrative, and I have to deprogramming off the narrative when he gets back, question the story.
That's right. You have to make sure. All right, come here and sit down. I gotta.
That's right. Hold on. When did they say that was built, son? When did they tell you? Don't you believe it?
Why are you yelling at me? Sorry, it's not. I'm not yelling. It's called a debriefing, son. Now sit down.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you know who else went to Quebec City, but it probably didn't have a lot of fun, and it was not very successful. Was Benedict Arnold.
Ooh, way back.
Yeah. You know, this guy, no offense to any of our American friends. We love our American friends.
We do.
But you know, this damn fool tried to invade Quebec City in the dead of winter.
Futility, I say.
When I first heard of this, I was like, wait, Benedict Arnold tried to invade Quebec City? Wait, what? Like, I know, I mean, America's tried to grab a little bit of land from Canada here or there in the past. Canada's done the same. Hey, Maine? Yeah, we'll take that, eh? We'll take Maine. And the States was like, wait, what? No, Maine's ours? No, we're going to have Maine for a while there, bud. Anyway, this guy decided that he was just going to, let's just see what the Wikipedia says. In September of 1775, early in the American Revolutionary War, Colonel Benedict Arnold led a force of 1,100 Continental Army troops on an expedition from Cambridge in the province of Massachusetts Bay. Easy. To the gates of Quebec City. The expedition was part of a two-pronged invasion of the British province of Quebec and passed through the wilderness of what is now Maine. The other expedition invaded Quebec from Lake Champlain. It was led by Richard Montgomery. A two-pronged attack, you see.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but they had some problems. Because,
as you'd expect.
It was winter there, eh? So Unanticipated problems beset the expedition as soon as it left the last significant colonial outpost in Maine. The portages up the Kennebec River proved grueling. The boats frequently leaked, ruining gunpowder and spoiling food. Oh, that's rough. More than a third of the men turned back before reaching the height of the land between the Kennebec and the Chaudière rivers. That sounds fancy. Chaudière.
Yeah, nice.
Sounds like a French guy saying chowder. Chaudière. Anyway,
Chaudière.
Say it right.
Simpsons reference.
There you go. So, well, you could have a Simpson reference once in a while.
Well, that's just silly.
Silly, yes. Idiotic, yes.
Even though that was Family Guy, but close enough.
It's close.
So then they, boats got smashed in the whitewater. And anyways, so by the time Arnold reached the settlement above the St. Lawrence River in November, his force was reduced to 600 starving men. Oof. Yeah, that's kind of rough there, eh? That's Canada in the winter, buddy. They should have told you about it before there, eh?
Maybe waited till spring, maybe?
Yeah, June. Why not June or July? Well, July, maybe it's a little hot. June, May or June. Beautiful. Flowers are in bloom.
Yeah. Birds
have all come back. It's nice. You can make your way. You can make your way there, right up there, no problem, buddy. Anyway, you can have a picnic on the Plains of Abraham. Anyway, right. 350 miles through poorly charted wilderness, twice the distance that they thought it was. So they're like, wow, this place is twice as big as we thought up here in Canada. Wow-wee.
How much food did we bring? Did we bring enough?
Yeah, man, they just were like, wow, this is ridiculously way further than we planned.
Yeah.
Plus, they lost so much food in the water and whatnot. Oh, man. Anyway, Arnold's troops crossed the St. Lawrence on November 13th and 14th, assisted by the local French-speaking Canadiens. Oh, the turncoats. Damn dirty traitors. dirty traitors. Anyway, in an attempt to put Quebec City under siege. Failing in this, they withdrew to some other little town until Montgomery arrived to lead an unsuccessful attack on the city. It's 2 strikes there already, bud.
Yeah.
Arnold was rewarded for his effort in leading the expedition with a promotion to Brigadier General. What? Yeah. Even though they failed spectacularly, he got promoted.
There was nobody
left. By the way, if you're interested out there, everybody, Arnold's route through northern Maine has been listed on the National Register of Historic Places as the Arnold Trail to Quebec. And some geographic features in the area bear names of expedition participants.
That's confirmation that it happened for sure, exactly the way they say it happened.
Exactly. Well, I mean, those guys had a rough go. You don't want to invade Canada in the winter.
Is that the Canadian version or the American version?
Well, that's the Wikipedia version. It's got to be the American version because they were unsuccessful. They kind of hand waved that in the Wikipedia article.
Yeah.
They tried a couple times, but they didn't quite pan out. And then he got promoted to Brigadier General.
It's all about what you stress and what you don't. Yeah.
So his promotion was for leading the expedition, not for whether it was whether it had a positive outcome or not. No, just for leading it. You do a pretty good job of leading people to their starving deaths, buddy. So here's a promo for you, bud.
Do it again for us, would you?
Right?
Yeah.
So here's another article. This is this is true because this is history.com. But anyway. In September 1775, with the authorization of the Second Continental Congress, 2 expeditions, American troops began an advance toward the province of Quebec, Montgomery, and Arnold. So he led his men through the wilderness of present-day Maine. Right, you. Directly in mid-November, Arnold arrived at the Plains of Abraham outside Quebec City. He requested the city's surrender, but was rebuffed.
Should have asked a little harder. Maybe.
Yeah. See, that was the thing, is that he just assumed, well, they're Canadians. They're pretty polite up here.
Yeah.
So if I'm just nice and if
they
I'm
were
polite,
British though. Back then, we were British. We hadn't quite developed our Canadian niceties. Maybe they
oh, come
miscalculated.
on, 1775, we're pretty Canadian by then, eh? Maple syrup, plaid, and everything.
Not out on this side of the continent, that's for sure.
Toques and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, he did request, so that was mighty nice of him. Anyways, deciding he lacked sufficient resources to fight, Arnold was forced to wait for Montgomery to join him with his troops and supplies. So then in December now, so they wait until the holiday season, these dirty rotters. No offense to our American friends, but these two bozos wait until the holidays now, December. Montgomery and Arnold and their men met on the outskirts of Quebec City and demanded. See, now here you go, Chris. Now,
Yes.
Somewhere. They demanded the surrender of the city. General Guy Carleton, or Guy Carleton, the governor of the province of Quebec, rejected their demand. Your mother is a hamster and your father's not of elderberries. Facing the year-end expiration of their troops' enlistment, the American forces made a last-ditch advance on Quebec under the cover of snowfall in the early morning hours of New Year's Eve, December 31st.
Wow.
That's what you want to do.
Why not?
Run across the wide open plains of Abraham, where you can be seen by the massive walls of the walled city of Quebec and all the observation turret towers.
This sounds like a Lord of the Rings.
In the snow. It does, really. Right?
Yeah.
For Valinor!
The Americans are the orcs coming across the plains of Abraham.
Ouch.
Whoops. It's a joke, my American friends. It's a joke.
Ouch.
I'm half American myself. My mom's from Minnesota.
It's basically Canada over there too, though. Come on. North Dakota, Minnesota.
It really actually illustrates how artificial that border is in some ways, when you have those.
Well, because there were times when they actually were part of Canada land. And also there were times when parts of Ontario and Quebec and New Brunswick were part of America. The good old US of A.
Mm-hmm. Then you got the Brits and the French squabbling over all that area as well.
Oh, yeah. It was just a giant tug of war over the beaver pelt industry up here, apparently. The British defenders were ready, however. And when Montgomery's forces approached the fortified city, the British opened fire with a barrage of artillery and musket fire. Ouch. Montgomery was deleted in the first assault. And after several more attempts at penetrating Quebec's defenses, oh my, his men were forced to retreat. It's just really, so Montgomery was removed from his mortal coil and they still kept attacking. That rarely happens.
I don't believe you.
Like usually cut off the head of the snake and whatnot, right?
No, they doubled down.
Anyways, meanwhile, Arnold's division suffered a similar fate during their attack on the northern wall of the city. A 2-gun battery opened fire on the advancing Americans, deleting a number of troops and wounding Arnold in the leg. Ooh, ouch. American Daniel Morgan assumed command and made progress against the defenders, but halted at the second wall. Oh, they got a second wall?
They didn't
those
know.
Clever Canadians.
They couldn't see it. They couldn't see it.
The second wall of fortifications to wait for reinforcements. Okay, guys. Okay, there's a second wall here. What do we do now, sir? Just let me catch my breath. Give me a second to think here. We're going to wait for some reinforcements. That's what we're going to do. But, sir, we are the reinforcements. Montgomery's been deleted already. Oh, man. That's right. We're in a tough spot here. We're in a real pickle, guys. We are in a real pickle. By the time the rest of Arnold's army finally arrived, the British had reorganized, forcing the Americans to call off their attack. Of the approximately 1,200 Americans who participated in the battle, more than 400 were captured, wounded, or unlifed. British casualties were minor. Oh, yeah, because they're behind 2 sets of walls.
Yeah, that's right.
After the defeat at Quebec, the battered and ailing Americans remained outside the city with the help of additional supplies and reinforcements, carrying out an ineffectual siege. Third time's charm, you say? Nope, sorry. 3 strikes are out. However, with the arrival of British fleet at Quebec in May of 1776, the Americans retreated from the area.
The fair weather, and that was it.
Yeah. So the Battle of 1775 Battle of Quebec was the first major defeat for our friends to the south there, the Americans, during the Revolutionary War. Sorry there, eh? Sorry, eh? Sorry, eh, buddy?
Our bad. Our bad.
Yeah. Sorry about that, buddy. So anyway, links below for that. I don't remember hearing anything about that in school. And I went to elementary school in Quebec.
Yeah, interesting.
I never heard anything about. Oh, by the way, Benedict Arnold. You all heard of him, right? Oh, sure, the guy is famous for whatever treason or whatever, right? Oh no, he's not just famous for that. He not once, not twice, but thrice invaded Quebec City in the winter of 1775. Wait, what?
Yeah.
No, had you ever been taught that?
No, I hardly even know the name Benedict Arnold. I did, but not knowing why, I suppose. And the Plains of Abraham, I know of that as well.
Yeah,
but,
the Battle of the Plains of Abraham.
Yeah, but well, I mean, it's a bare bones version of history they give us in the schooling system.
That's true, and I guess especially in primary school too, because that's really where, I went until grade 4. I think is when I was living in Quebec, and then moving to Alberta, grade 5 onward through graduation. Right, so.
Well, you know what? We should probably give the good folks some geography here. I bet you half the people have already done it themselves just to figure out where we're talking about.
Oh man, did I ever drop the ball on that? Eh?
Yeah, it's
I should have did that a long time ago.
No, that's the mystery's alive. The mystery's alive.
Makes it so so dark and mysterious.
You can see it being a real hot spot for boats coming through that channel, couldn't you?
Yeah, let me just quickly pull it up on the goggle machine here on the. Sorry about that, there, folks. It's like where are they? Where are they? So here we are in Canada land. So Chris is over here,
yeah,
and I'm over here, and we're talking on the east here, Quebec. And there's Quebec City, which is the capital city of the province.
Yeah.
So there's the Plains of Abraham.
And you see the walls on that?
Oh, we'll be seeing some walls.
Okay.
But we'll be seeing some crazy stuff. But yeah, basically they had to come across the St. Lawrence in the winter.
Yeah.
Climb up this large forested steep embankment, which is rock.
In the winter.
In the winter in Canada.
Yeah.
The Atlantic Ocean is like right here. It's right here. And, the St. Lawrence, it's cold, right? And plus they've marched all the way up through here already.
Yeah.
Half the dudes were like, screw this. I'm leaving. That's desertion. Okay, bye. But anyway,
yeah.
Then they stormed the walled city by going over the Plains of Abraham, which is wide open. Well, you would suggest plains.
Easy pickings, you'd think.
So that's probably not a very good strategy. But that's that whole area that we're talking about there in the province of Quebec. La Belle Province, the beautiful province.
The capital of that province, too, Quebec City, right?
Yep. And as you mentioned, what was it? The only walled city north of Mexico?
Yeah, I read that earlier.
In the New World?
That's right. In existence now, I would add to that, knowing what I know about the old world. I'm sure things have been.
It's the only one that they're willing to acknowledge because people still live in the friggin' thing, so it's kind of hard to.
Yeah, and it fits into the narrative, right? They weaved it into the narrative, so.
It's a little bit tougher to explain some of the star cities, star forts that are, up in northern Manitoba and so on. But that's fine. Don't ask over there.
Yeah.
Don't ask over there. That's fine. We'll just tell you about what's going on right here. We'll let you know. So that's not the only weird thing. Would you? I guess you probably wouldn't be shocked, would you, if I said that there's the Quebec City and the Great Fire?
What?
I know, right? I know it sounds crazy.
What one Great Fire?
Well, sort of. There's one that they do call the Great Fire, but you've got to kind of ask which one really is what it is.
Now
which Great Fire? You got to be specific.
This is not the first Great Fire we've come across here on Knuckleheads, just for the record.
Oh yeah, well, I know everybody in the chat is shocked right now. In fact, I think every city that we've covered,
yeah, it's true,
on the Knuckleheads, so at least 14 have had a Great Fire. Anyways, Quebec City's big fires, plural. Oh, Quebec City experienced major fires in the 19th century. The most memorable were undoubtedly those of 1845. So they hit two in the same year.
Yeah.
Get this. Hang on now, people. Put on your shenanigans seatbelts. On May 28th and June 28th.
Oh.
Exactly 1 month apart.
Wow.
Flames destroyed the Saint Roch, Saint Jean, and Saint Louis districts. Then, of course, other major fires swept through in 1866, 1876, 1881.
Whoa!
Wow. Ravaging whole sections of the city. A walled city made of stone, I may like to reiterate.
And a lot of buildings made of stone, as you'll see.
Yes. Each time, hundreds, if not thousands, of people had to rebuild their homes and reorganize their daily lives. Fire departments began to develop in the late 19th century. Yeah, I should hope so.
A little late there,
you
boys.
buggers had two fires a month apart there, bud. What are you doing over there, eh?
Jeez.
Get some horses and wagons with some water going there. Anyways, reducing the frequency and scale of these fires. So they still had them. They just weren't as big. Yeah. This album bears witness to the residents' courage in these difficult times. Yeah, and then, then there's just, different...
Some depictions do we have here? Is that what that is?
Yeah, there's some it's artist renderings and stuff. It's...
Ooh, rendering. I like those.
It's not really... There we go. I'm like, it's not really doing stuff, but now it's doing stuff. So it's, paintings and renderings. So you can see all these stone buildings just up in flames.
Somebody took a mental snapshot.
Sheesh. And on my channel, by the way, on my live show, we did a sort of a Google map drop where you drop the little man down recently in old Montreal.
Oh, yeah.
And it's very similar to Quebec City, just very old stone buildings.
Yeah.
But I guess that stone is just like a tinderbox. I don't know.
Yeah, it's Flintstone.
So then, of course, you got your looking. It is flintstone, highly flammable flintstone. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know.
That's a nice depiction.
Where I was going with that at all.
When you get anise, then you do the twitch in bedrock. Twitch.
Yeah, there's people looky-looing there on the shore, just watching the city burn.
Watching it burn.
You could see that it's a wall around it.
Yeah.
Like what? Filled with stone buildings. What's burning?
They must have had a firebug in there somewhere lighting these things.
I guess once we wooden roof, and not every building was stone, but once that goes, how does and then you get the narrative of the fire jumped and it came to life and all that shenanigans, right?
Quite the built-out city. Though for those early time periods, the way they're depicting some of these burned areas, like these are not a huge population, I don't think, early on.
No, in Quebec, well, most of the Eastern Canadian cities, but most especially in French Canada, the cities were built very much in the French European style, France, Belgium, I guess to some extent maybe London and England for the Anglophone.
Yeah.
But, the narrow streets and the cobblestone paved streets and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And old Quebec City, the old part, and old Montreal, It's to this day, it's like that. The narrow weaving streets that remind you of, European cities.
Yeah.
So, but again, everything was stone. The streets were stone. The buildings were stone. I mean, how does?
Yeah.
It's just I don't get it. Anyway, one more quick link here. Then I've got a few photos, and then what do you say we take a mid-show break and look at some old video footage of Quebec City.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I understand you've got quite a nice folder.
Yeah, it's a little different trying to search for buildings from Quebec City for some reason. I think it has to do with the name, because the province is named the same as the city, so that was a little trickier to navigate.
Right, because you might get some little a town or hamlet in rural Quebec somewhere.
Yeah,
but
so
it might be mislabeled or grouped in with Quebec City as opposed to it just being Quebec, the province, right?
And it's usually in French if it's a postcard. So now I'm guessing as to if that's a city or if that's a building name.
I guess. Well, you should let me know. I could have helped you out there, buddy.
Yeah, next time.
Je parle un peu de français, and
excellent, excellent.
Read it a little bit too. I mean, kind of a.
Je parle un petit peu français aussi.
Ouh,
un petit peu.
Ouh là là, très bien, monsieur. Zut alors. Anyway, this is teachinghistory.org, so you know it's completely legit. But anyways, it gives us a nice rundown of the Quebec City fire. Who started the Quebec City? Sorry that the print is so small there, folks, and I can't zoom it. It's just
read to us, buddy. Just read to us.
Very tiny. Who started the Quebec City fire of June 28th, 1845? It was depicted in an 1848 painting by Joseph Legaré called The Fire in Saint-Jean Quarter, seen looking westward. It's a bit of a mouthful for naming your painting, but okay. My art teacher mentioned something about a slave breaking out of her master's home and being so angry she burnt down their house and started the fire. She wound up being hung. Is this true? Answer: I've been unable to find anything about an angry slave being responsible for the fire, and for what I have found, it appears to be such a story is highly unlikely. Okay. The first fire, Quebec suffered two major fires in 1845, exactly 1 month apart.
Yeah.
And then the second fire, 11 o'clock, a month later, right here. It's just... link below. It's just ridiculous. 1,300 houses, churches, and schools have been destroyed in the second fire. First fire, 3,000 shops and sheds, roughly 1,650 houses. Like two fires a month apart. Exactly a month apart.
That's absolute carnage. Absolute carnage. Once again.
I just don't even.
Wait, I got a tickle in my throat here. Reset. Reset.
Well, yeah, let's do her up double just to make sure there, eh, Bob?
Yeah.
Because these Frenchies are stubborn. I don't know.
Couldn't get them the first time. Yep.
I mean, look how much of a fight they put up against Benedict Arnold. Like we better really give them what for here with these fires, buddy. Like they're a month apart to the day. May 28th, June 28th. Like, take off. That is ridiculous, man.
If memory serves, I think New York's has a few fires coming out of that time frame as well, right in that close to that area time.
Oh, I mean, I'm not surprised. There's probably multiple fires in multiple cities, multiple fires in multiple cities on the same days. I mean, I think that was the case with the Great Chicago Fire. I think there was a fire in another city on the exact same day, but because it was the Great Chicago Fire, it got all the press or whatever.
It was in the woods too, the Peshtigo Fire, and all through that area it burned. Yeah, it's there's a lot to that one for sure. Can of worms there. Can of worms.
But I mean, this is just ridiculous, man. So anyways, links below, teachinghistory.org. Two fires a month apart to the day. Oh, man.
That's a hell of a domain name too, teachinghistory.org. You really think highly of yourself if you're making that your domain name.
Right? I'm the one teaching history around here, people.
Yeah, exactly.
It's right there. It's in the name. Don't mess around with me.
Don't listen to those other guys who question the narrative.
Yeah, no, they're not going to teach you a thing. They're a bunch of big dummy heads.
What I'll do is I'll repeat what I find in this book verbatim.
Yeah, you
Just
don't.
for you.
Anybody who asks questions, that's not the way to do it.
Let me ask you something. How come you asking so many jackassy questions?
So I had mentioned a walled city, and you and I were talking. I think before we went live that there's Quebec City is is Canada's oldest walled city. But there's actually it's a star city, and then the Chateau Frontenac basically is the citadel.
Yeah, so I'll use Starfort folks out there, old world researchers, Starfort people. This is a Starfort gem. This place.
Well, not only that, but there is actually also an additional star fort right beside the walled city, right on the banks of the St. Lawrence.
So a fort, star fort within a star city.
Well, there's a star city, and next to it, a star fort.
Wow.
Did you know that? I didn't even know that either.
I did not. I didn't. Wow, look at that. Oh, I know this one. Yeah.
This is called the Citadelle du Québec. This is here's a little bit of a better definition. Oh, they put a heliport in on this one. Oh, thank goodness they put a heliport, because in the older picture, they didn't paint a giant H in the parking lot.
I thought maybe the heliport was original, but for the airships for a second.
Well, there you go. Well, then it wouldn't be a giant A then for airship. The H is for how's it going, eh?
You need a steeple. You need a really tall steeple for the airships, right? A mooring dock.
That's true. You need something to moor it, and then you need a big giant hangar. But
yeah, armory.
You can just see.
Yeah, that's nice. It's got the two-phase, like a flower. All right.
Not to mention the earthworks that are piled up.
Yeah. Zoom a little bit more if you don't mind on the upper right of go up now. You can see the crease coming down the point of that.
Here.
There, and then the adjacent top side. Wow, right, it's all just built right into it. That is all structure.
So I think if you took this dirt away, you would see.
Wow.
You would see stuff like this, like the wall continuing. Here's got dirt growing on it, right? Whereas over here, it's a little bit more manicured.
Yeah.
But even up over here too, there's there's something here, maybe an underground entrance here or something, or what's now underground.
Mm-hmm. And they built this for, did you read that part? Do you know?
Well, the British Army built this to stave off the invaders there, eh?
Look at that.
But look at it, it's right on the side of this. I mean, this is the St. Lawrence River right here. Yeah. So, I mean, look at this, man. What is that? 50, 60 feet? I'm going to say 50 feet.
Yeah.
But then it continues all down here. And I mean, look at this, man.
Yeah. Wow. They were certainly industrious soldiers back then.
Yeah, yeah. You had to be a soldier. You had to be an engineer, eh? But even here too, like this is all what appears to be rock face, but I mean, like it could be stones too.
Yep, it could be.
See, like look here, there's a bit of a different angle. So you got this comes to a kind of a point here, and you've got this. So it gets a little pixelated, a little pickolated.
Yeah, no, it's
on a guy, but here.
Yeah. We got to get someone to do some boots on the ground from Quebec City. Send us some footage. Yeah. Ooh.
And then this is the wall around old Quebec City itself.
So
the city was a star city. Chateau Frontenac is inside these walls as well. That was the citadel. And the wall goes all around what they now call the, old city, old Quebec City, the original town or city of Quebec. But this thing goes all around, and it's at different heights. At some parts, it's really tall like this. In other parts, it's almost completely buried, and only a foot or two stick up out of the ground.
I'm getting Moscow vibes, although Moscow is very red brick. I'm sort of getting a similar feel, though, to the Red City in Moscow a little bit. I don't know.
Just these massive, like, look how thick this wall is, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see how thick it is here. These jackasses sitting up there. Let's have a picnic on the wall. But look how big it is. How'd you get up there, kid? Don't fall and break your leg. If you do, don't come running to me.
Yeah.
Let me look at this, man.
That's all before the railroad, all of this.
Oh, yeah.
Or any sort of width of a railroad. We're told. Yeah.
I mean, this is what, this is the kind of stuff that Benedict Arnold and Montgomery would have been up against. And this is where they would have seen him coming up the plains of Abraham.
You know, they never stood a chance.
In fact, this is very probably, here's the Chateau Frontenac. So this is the Citadel. It's now just been redesignated and repurposed as a hotel. But this would have been the Citadel inside the Star City of what is now Quebec City, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I hear you.
But look at all this stone all the way up to here. And then you have this massive structure. And then back here, more stone, more ramparts. And I mean, this is just massive stone here with observation towers and all of this nonsense. And again, this goes all the way down right to the river. So very, very impressive. But that's what they were up against. I have a couple of, real quick here, I have a couple of fire photos. It's from the 1866 fire that I pulled from that one website.
Mm-hmm.
Where you can see how it was really sprawled out.
Yeah, newer structures in the foreground.
So not really sure why these matchstick 1- and 2-story bungalow shacks and fences survived, but big, massive masonry buildings are completely burned out.
Is that supposed to be a 2-story fence in the foreground there, right in front of us?
That's a really tall fence there, bud.
3-story fence, 2.5.
I want privacy. Lots of it now.
Nobody's looking in these windows.
You better, nosy neighbor, you better not come peeking and gawking over my fence, buddy.
Even though there's no neighbor there, maybe for future
there's nobody here.
He knows, whoever owns it knows neighbors are coming. And he just
somebody's gonna be living there, and I ain't having it. I ain't having it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just complete annihilation.
There you
Again,
go.
you could see big, impressive structures completely destroyed.
2-3-story structures made of stone, looking like.
You can see brick here, stone here, completely gone.
Mm-hmm.
But meanwhile, my wood shack is totally fine. That's that fireproof wood. Didn't you know in the old world that stone and brick was highly flammable and wood was fireproof? Come on, I thought you knew that, buddy.
Everything's reversed, I guess.
And here's one last look, just so you can see that again there, down there.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's what they were up against. They were up against this, and they were up against just to what would be the left of this is actually an even larger star-shaped wall around old Quebec City.
Wow, so good context there. Some good context, Frankie.
Some crazy stuff. Some stuff I didn't know. Some stuff I knew, but I was like, well, like I knew that, Quebec City was a walled city, but I didn't know that there was another star fort right next to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, wait a sec, what?
No shortage of how many feet thick walls everywhere,
And how tall they are too. Again, in some shots they only look a couple of feet tall, but they're really like 40 feet tall by what did that look like? 20 feet
20
thick?
feet thick, yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Even if it's just sort of a stone box, for lack of a better term, built and then filled in with just earth and rocks and rubble. Even still, that would be a formidable wall to try to, I don't know, I guess against cannon fire, they would say, or trebuchet fire, or whatever, right? I don't know.
Yeah, they must have valued the location enough to do that. It must have been very strategic for them to put so much work into fortifying it and defending it.
All them beaver pelts, buddy.
Although I did read as I was looking into the history of Quebec City that it wasn't particularly Jacques Cartier, I think, makes note of that. Jacques Cartier is, I think, the first one from the New World or the Old World to come over, and it wasn't particularly interesting or worthy of something along those lines. There's a contradiction in the narrative too.
Huh.
Yeah.
Jacques Cartier, you say.
Apparently, it was special enough to fortify, I guess, but not in his eyes. Who knows?
The guy sounds like he's just one of those hipsters that's trying to be a contrarian on purpose. You know what I mean? Like, it's all right, I guess.
I've seen better.
Yeah, exactly. Right. One of those guys, like, when you're at a live show or at a party and it's like, hey, this is great. And he's like,
yeah,
it's all right, I guess.
That's how you type. Isn't that how you type it now? Meh, M-E-H.
Yeah,
meh.
M-E-H, meh. It's all right. I was kind of thinking of maybe bailing. I don't know. I was fixing to leave, maybe. It's all right. I don't know. Meh. Yeah.
Meh.
Anyway, what do you say we take a mid-show break here and
sure,
give everybody a chance to, I don't know, smoke them if they got them or whatever the case may be. I've got a video here of Quebec City, a little more recent, 1940s, but it's taken from some home movies. So it's not necessarily the touristy, trappy type stuff, although there's some of that too. But it's a little bit off the beaten path, and you get to see you get to see some street scenes. So anyways, it's about 3 minutes. So let me just pull that up for you. And when we come back, Chris is going to knock it out of the park with some old world photographs of Quebec City. So yeah, just over 3 minutes. We'll see you on the other side. All right, stick around. We'll be right back. Thanks again, everyone.
Nice.
All right. We are back. What'd you think of that there, buddy?
Nice tunes. Nice tunes. I didn't catch all the visuals. I'll definitely catch them on the recorded version. But
Well, yeah, because it's break time, eh?
yeah, it's doing all the things I need to do before we jump
I hear
back into it.
Well, you can do all that in 3 minutes. You're good. You're good, buddy. So thanks for joining us, everybody. Frankie, New West Reset.
Chris, Old World Exploration. I almost forgot who I was for a sec there.
That's usually what I do. It's a flip. We're doing a flip flop on this one. It's the Knucklehead Show, episode 14. We're looking at old Quebec City, Canada Land's original ancient walled city. So thanks for joining us, everybody. Matt Fiddler's here. Wiley and Vaughn are here. Hi, Kathy. Good to see you. Hippie Shake. Alex is here as well. Morgan, Isabella Live. Hello. Whisper Jack is here. Hello. I saw Quebec way before Quebec was even mainstream. back when it was Quebecistan. Dame's Place. Hello, hello. Good to see you. Dragon Sage is here. Speaking of Canada Land, there he is. Thanks for joining us, everybody. If you haven't already, maybe consider giving a couple of guys, a like, and make sure you're subscribed, and all the stuff that all the other channels hound and pester you to do every video.
Follow along for more content.
That's right, please, because there's not like there's shadow banning or anything. No, never. So you might not be getting all the notifications for the uploads and all that.
Frankie and I figure we should be huge. We should be Mr. Beast huge, and we don't.
That's right.
If it weren't for the YouTube algorithms, we'd be right there.
We'd be, PewDiePie would be like, "Look out, man, for these two."
Who, DPie?
That's what I was thinking. So welcome back, everybody. Thanks for joining us here. What is this, anyways? It's Saturday night here for us, anyways. December 14th.
Yeah, I was a little worried we're too late for the old East Coast, but I mean, we're thinking wherever you're tuning in from, you can't please everybody, so you got to pick a time sometimes,
Yeah, well, it's you and I were only an hour difference, but yeah, it's tough to wrangle everybody in. But with the weekend give chance folks to maybe watch it on the re-up. So if you're watching it after the fact, thanks for all your support as well. Really appreciate that.
For sure. So
what do you got for us here, buddy?
Well, we got the geography in, so people maybe have an idea where we're talking about, and we got some
where we're talking about.
That's right, out and about. Population demographics for Quebec City, modern day city, just over 500. I think I read 800 with the surrounding area, so almost 1 million people in the modern day.
Yeah, as far as eastern cities go, it's never been a massive city. I mean, Montreal takes it for that area, and then of course Toronto, right?
Yeah. When I was a kid, I always wondered why these Quebec City and Victoria were capitals of their provinces, even though they weren't the biggest cities. That never made sense to me. I always thought biggest city would be the capital, but not the case.
Yeah, it's wherever the seat of government was, wherever the controllers planted their flag, I guess.
Yeah, wherever the main house was. That I think they had these. They were the provincial or state houses. Right?
Yeah.
So overlaying the old world grid onto the new world. But we'll go back into the population demographics of the 1800s or the 19th century. That's sometimes confusing. Most of what you're going to see, and actually quite a wide range of build dates in this presentation, going back into the 17th, some into the 1600s, some of these structures you're going to see here. But a lot of course, 1800s. Yeah,
that was the case in old Montreal too. Anywhere from late middle 1600s, like 1670s, 1680s.
Yeah,
right up to of course the usual pre-WW1 build boom of the 1910s, 1914 in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, gradual growth too here, as you can see, and not a big city right up until the first decade of the 20th century. Still don't crack 100,000 until after World War I in Quebec City. Not a large city whatsoever in this early time period. Old, but not large. Let's get to the juice, shall we? The visuals.
Look at this. Right out of the gate. Slap. What do you think of them apples? Ça c'est bon. Ho ho.
And I think this might be the back end of a convent we're going to see a little later in the presentation, but I'm not 100% sure, and I don't have the designation.
We're looking at the back end, or we're looking at the rear end of a convent?
Yeah,
careful now.
Not meant to be seen. Not meant to be seen.
No, the rear ends of the nuns aren't supposed to be seen.
Actually, before we get into my main file, I'm just going to quickly go through the Chateau Frontenac file. So we covered Chateau Frontenac in detail in our Canadian Railway hotels, didn't we?
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's probably the most majestic of all these so-called railroad hotels. I mean, it's definitely a citadel or a castle. I mean, chateau is French for castle.
It's preeminent for sure.
It's the benchmark for what they call the sort of the Canadiana build style with the extreme angled roof, usually green, with the red brick and stone.
Chateauesque.
Like the Parliament buildings, for example, too, right?
Yeah. But there are beautiful ones all across Canada, and if you haven't seen, I'm talking to you watching now, if you haven't seen our presentation on the railway hotels, it's certainly worth a look. You'll probably be quite surprised at what we have up here in Canada that links to the railroad that look like this.
Yeah, I mean, this is the pride and joy. I mean,
take a look at the quality of
this thing's outstanding.
Yeah,
it's outstanding.
And it's ridiculous narrative, so it's kind of got a two-phase narrative. It's got apparently the lower portions were built in 1893 in 18 months. So not the tower. The tower has a separate story. Although to me that looks like all one building. It's all existed as one building in the same amount of time. Doesn't make sense to me. But 18 months for the lower portion. This one comes around in the 20s, and they say they built the tower in the 20s, although you can see very little evidence of that. There's a few construction photos out there. I'll leave that alone. You can watch the other presentation if you want to get into that. I'll show you some of the interior too here before we move on from this, because I don't want to spend too much time on it. Although it is certainly could even be worth its own show.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, without a doubt. Yeah.
But we have covered it, so I don't want to go. Here's the lower. Here's some of the lower reaches below the chateau and the wall. You can see the stone structures, which what I sometimes suspect, and as you look in close, there's sort of I wonder if this is the original state that these building materials were in when these structures were built. I have my doubts in that regard.
Those buildings are almost as famous as the chateau above, because in any sort of wide sort of reverse shot where you're getting the chateau up on the top, these buildings are always at the bottom, kind of in the foreground too.
They look nice.
Iconic.
Yeah,
they're beautiful. Yeah.
And in those photos, we saw them burnt out. A lot of these types of structures, but hollowed right out, burnt out. Right. And there's some of the interior here too on the Chateau Frontenac. I think it's the chapel in there. In case you thought the inside was just plaster.
Yeah, nothing to sneeze at in there, eh? Come on, look at this.
It's a railway hotel, folks. With a
Show me all the blueprints.
All right, I'll Chateau. Yeah. Beautiful place. I think the narrative is an absolute fiction. But that's just me. Anyway, we'll move through my file. So just have some street scenes of old Quebec City. You know, I like to throw those in with the... you can see how the way everything around it is built. It all just feels like it's been there for a very long time, much longer than we're being told.
And again, very reminiscent of old European cities.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if it wasn't labeled as such, or if let's say a lot of those buildings are still there and you lived in that area and recognized it, but if it wasn't for that, I mean, you could say that this was in like Poland or in
Yep.
I don't know, somewhere in England. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Definitely. Definitely.
By the way, I just put the link in for the that episode. It was our episode 5 of Knuckleheads, where we did the Railroad Hotel exploration.
And you know what I finally did too? I made it into a playlist on my channel. I can't believe it took me this long to figure that out. So you could do the Knuckleheads playlist.
Yeah, I have a Knuckleheads playlist. I like the playlist thing. I have lots of playlists on my channel.
Yeah, it's good to group them in. It can be interesting. There's an early look at the upper wall area.
Yeah, so see, Benedict Arnold and the boys would have to try to scamper up that somehow. Well, I mean, depending on what wall they were attacking. Montgomery attacked the northern wall. I can't remember what they said Arnold attacked, but anyway.
Fiction. So we'll see. We'll be looking at this one, the Basilica, as we move forward. Actually, we'll take a close look at it now. I just noticed this earlier today too. So here's an early rendering of Quebec City. Remember, it's a drawing, so the only thing that's in there is what we are meant to see. But if we zoom into, and they have them labeled here, number 7. That's the Notre Dame Basilica that I was just showing you here. So everybody take note of the 2 towers. Okay. And let me zoom into the Basilica. What do we notice about the 2 towers? I think this one is still intact, and it's right here. And I think this one used to be way, way taller and look like this.
Yeah, it's been decapitated.
Looks to be that way, and it makes sense when you look at it. I mean, come on, who put on this little hip roof?
Oh, we see that all the time. Didn't you just show an example of that in your most recent video?
Yeah, it does. It shows up everywhere for sure. Yeah. But it's cool to find the old ones when they still depict it, and I think that's what they're showing us here in the drawing. Look, and
that's how it used to be. Yeah.
Look how big that is too.
What's number 6 there, by the way? What the heck does that say?
Number 6 is the Jesuits. Les Jesuits. Heard of them?
Rings a bell.
Heavy Jesuit influence in Quebec City.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everything here we're tied in with the Vatican, and of course the crown comes in afterwards. It's the same old story, same old culprits, isn't it? Yeah. And this one's it's a nice little the Citadel, Chateau Ursuline, that's also related to the church. Seminary, also church related. You can go on and on. I'll show some of those actually as we move forward. And there's just a look at some of the old townhouses in Quebec City.
Yeah, those are
gorgeous,
astounding. Yeah,
amazing. Yeah, amazing. Old too. Old AF, I would say.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Crazy roofs. Amazing. Yeah. And then you can see what we do. This is the old world down here. This is new world up here. You see the little fences that they put up there?
Yeah. Well, that's so that Jean-Pierre doesn't fall when he's washing the window, eh?
That is right. His brother fell when he was doing it up there, so we need to put a fence up there to make it safe.
That's crazy!
How'd you like my Quebecois accent?
That was pretty good, buddy.
Thank you.
I can't lie too much on this thing. It was pretty good, huh? All you got to do is picture any really good hockey player except Wayne Gretzky in your head, and that's how they talked.
That's right.
Usually missing a few teeth. Of course, I grew up with 70s hockey, so,
Yeah. That was street cred.
Those guys didn't wear helmets and stuff. They were crazy.
Hey, this is the old armory. Do you remember when this burned? It was 08.
In which one of the 4 fires did it burn?
No, 2008.
Oh.
So I actually do remember this news story in 2008, way before I was Old World guy, way before.
I don't remember that. I remember the Cathedral Notre Dame
Yeah.
burning.
But I vaguely remember this story being plastered all over the CBC. The old CBC up here in Canada. You listen to the
Ooh,
CBC if you want the truth.
man, look at that.
Yeah, 08, that thing burnt right out.
What a shame. Whoever did that, shame on you.
Shame.
I publicly shame you.
I should do a walk of shame. Yeah,
We need to bring back public shaming.
that's right. 1885 to 1888.
Stockades in the town square, and
Throwing your rotten vegetables, right?
people can walk by and point their finger at you and shame on you for starting that fire in that glorious old world building.
Look at the quality of materials here too. It's
gorgeous, and the detail.
1880s they're building this in Quebec City, and remember, there's not a lot of people living there at the time. This whole time there's less than 100,000 people, probably about 60,000 people at the time when they're putting this.
Well, yeah, and they're staving off invasions by Americans, and having to do all this other crazy stuff.
And then look at the inconsistency.
British and French at each other's throats.
Yeah, I think this all used to be red brick. Honestly, that's kind of where I'm leaning toward these days. Because look at the shape of it all too. Look, what they have: black bricks, white bricks. I don't know.
And why would they alternate them in such a random order like that? I don't know.
Yeah, and there's a lot of red brick still red on it too.
And I got to tell you that, again, as a kid growing up in Quebec, in the province of Quebec, but in Montreal, there were so many more brick buildings, old and modern, like just houses, like a 2-story bungalow or just whatever your house would be, 1,000 square foot to 3,500 square feet. So many of them were brick. It's like the red clay to make the bricks was super abundant out there. And I remember thinking as a kid when we moved to Calgary, Alberta, thinking there's not as many red brick homes. They seem to be, wood frame homes that are covered in siding, whether it be wood siding or vinyl siding or some other composite, whatever siding, depending on the age of the home, right? But
yeah,
of course, now with new eyes, I'm finding a lot of red brick buildings in Calgary when I do my boots on the ground stuff. But
it's kind of hidden though, right?
It's not as abundant as it is out east. There's a lot of red brick. Yeah.
It fits the narrative if you see it in certain areas. Like I just
out west here, it's sandstone. It's all about the sandstone. Again, not to say that there aren't old world red brick buildings here, but there's a lot more sandstone.
Vancouver's got a real red brick district down. I think it's the Gastown region of Vancouver.
Yeah, East Hastings, Gastown. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Gastown's beautiful, actually.
Yeah. I don't even. So I've got a real long French sentence that's telling me what this building is. I know it's attached to the church. Saint Michael, Archangels, Eucharist is in there, but and the photo's from 1900. So I'm guessing this is some sort of convent or something along those lines.
Yeah, it's probably a convent or a seminary or something like that. Yeah.
There's no shortage of those back then.
The French Canadian population is overwhelmingly Roman Catholic.
Yeah. This is a tricky one too. This is kind of what I was talking about. Like I can't be sure this is in Quebec City. It just says Quebec, right? École Polytechnical School in Quebec. So doing my research, I had to do some sifting and really pick out the ones that I tried to make sure they were in Quebec City. This one I'm not sure of.
This could be Drummondville, Quebec. This could be, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Saguenay. How do you say that one? Saguenay, Quebec. I don't know. There's a Saginaw in Michigan, and there's a Saguenay, I think, in Quebec. It gets confusing.
Yeah, Saguenay.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. So yeah, this one not sure. We'll move on to
not to be confused with Chateauguay. There's a Chateauguay too.
Massive factory here, the old tobacco factory.
Must be, what is it, Imperial? Oh no, what does it say? Something KOUDE
tobacco
company
here. Tobacco.
Yeah, but on the other side. Oh, tobacco and snuff even. There you go.
You're right. Yeah, it's HOUDE and Co. B.
Oh, Howd and Co.
Howd and Co. Yeah. 1891, I believe. They got the date here. Big building, though. Not the only tobacco factory we'll see in this presentation, by the way. Unless it's the same one. It doesn't look the same, but
That's huge.
yeah. It is, isn't it? And I think there's a lot of that going on here. They had to burn a lot of them down. So here is the Basilica of Notre Dame. And like we said, this probably was a massive tower here, much taller than this one, coming off of this side.
Which would make sense because the base, that would just, what's remaining is just the base of the tower.
Mm-hmm.
And the base of that is much taller than the base to its second tower there.
Yeah, which is down here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting structure, and inside is not much to look at, though, really. Just kidding. Just kidding. Here's the inside. They took their time.
Wow. Yeah, man.
Yeah. And I thought I had the time on, or the date this was built. I must have missed that one. But it's going way back into the narrative. These ones, I would say mid-1800s, just to venture a guess. I won't search it right now, so I'll try to stay focused on the presentation. But look at that. Okay, now this is a nice high-quality photograph.
Man, oh man, there's enough gold in there for you, boys. Sheesh.
Yeah.
Take it easy.
That's just how they roll in Quebec City.
They went crazy with the good. We go near with the gold here, Carlis.
Yeah, you're a little bit more gold on the top there. We need Jesus with his hand up.
Man, it's just a little bit more.
And you got the rosettes. You see all the rosettes? Old world. Energy, some sort of energy emitter or receiver, I think. Something along the lines. If you subscribe.
Everybody in the chat is just saying, wow. Wow. There's like 6 wows in the chat.
Oh, it's no big deal. It's just another basilica in Quebec City. It's not the only basilica. Yeah, no biggie.
It's pretty outstanding, though.
It is beautiful. Yeah. But we have to move on. What do we have here? A hospital with a couple domes on it, because that's how you build a hospital back in the day.
You need to have a buttload of domes on your hospital.
Again, one of those ambiguous, maybe Quebec City. So not 100% sure that's in Quebec City, but certainly worth a look anyway. All right, we got another church here. Bon Pasteur Chapel, they call this one. And it still stands in the modern day, and you can see it's some nice looking stonework. And I have an interior shot as well.
Beautiful big cymatic window on the front of that too.
Here, I'll go back. So, yeah, at the front there. They probably changed it. Maybe not. Very high ceiling in here, though. Interesting. Very difficult.
Even with the balcony mezzanine levels, 2 of which they have, by the way.
Yeah.
It's still excessively tall. Yeah, you're right. It doesn't even look that tall from the outside. That's crazy.
Very difficult to accomplish any sort of high ceiling work. It just adds such a dimension to the construction process.
Well, it takes a guy like 10 minutes just to climb up the scaffolding in the morning before he even gets her going for the day, bud. Especially when he's got his coffee and his donuts and his toolbox with him. He's got to lug all that shit up there, eh?
You got to remember everything, too. Otherwise, you're walking back down to get what you need.
Yeah, even if you're, you got an apprentice, you got to send him up and down to do it. Even still, it takes the same amount of time. Yeah. I mean, it's just... I'm kind of joking, but I'm kind of serious, man.
No, yeah, you got to factor this stuff in when you're looking back in time here at some of these structures.
Oh, I spilled my coffee, eh? I got to climb down and get another one. Somebody brings in a fresh box of donuts, so when you spot a cruller from up there, you're going to climb down and get it. It's another 10 minutes.
Yeah, not sure on this one either. Again, Quebec, Canada. Is that Quebec City? Might be Montreal. I'm not sure. There's not too many of these in here, though.
I think generally, in my experience, it's Montreal. It's labeled Montreal. Montreal as a name is pretty well known realm wide. Pretty much everybody's heard of Montreal.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah.
It's probably our most metropolitan city, and most well-known city, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Toronto, Vancouver to some extent.
Yeah, Montreal for sure is kind of probably the most internationally interesting city in Canada. Well, as far as we're told, anyway.
Yeah.
Right. I have more of this. We'll move on to this a little bit later. This is the old seminary now, a part of Laval University. This one jumped the line. This one, I got more on this later. So
man, they got silly with the cupolas on that thing.
Oh, those are easy to build.
Oh, sure. So again, cupola with a dome, and then another cupola with another dome on top.
Yeah.
So that we can make up for our inferiority complex.
And then throw the big cross at the top there. Yeah.
Wowee.
Yeah. All right. We'll see more of that as we move forward here. This is the Capitole de Quebec theater. I think that's
a theater?
It is, yeah. It's nice.
Wow, the you don't realize how big it is, and then you take into consideration those are horses and carriages in front.
Mm-hmm.
So look how huge those openings. Those almost look like the openings you would see in a fire hall.
Yeah, you're right. We've seen that before.
Look at that mansard roof too, with the
roof.
portal dormers. Come on,
yeah.
man.
Yeah, it's beauty. Still stands, and it's definitely an attraction.
Wow, come on.
Yeah.
That's a beaut.
I love how they stand the test of time. These two photographs are 100 years apart, and it's just like looks exactly the same as it did. 100 years
just
ago.
as impressive.
Yeah, there's another shot.
Still has all the character. Oh, that's almost from that same angle too. Look at that.
Yeah, we go that one and that one.
Mm-hmm.
100 years apart. Yeah, easily 100 years, probably more. Beautiful.
She's a looker, that one.
Whew. Yeah, and you could almost see, what they do to these old buildings, where they take off the top part and maybe they take it all off to this part right here.
They take those statues and all that off for sure. Yeah,
and then just flatten it, put a tar and gravel roof in there, put some ceiling joists across. And yeah, that's all. It didn't take much. Put a few pockets.
Call it the Bank of Montreal building or something, and there you go.
Exactly. Yeah.
The curve on it's really nice, though. I can see.
Yeah.
So when they're saying theater, they're saying that it's basically live theater, like it's an Orpheum type theater. It's stage plays and probably musical performances.
I think so. Capitole, it's probably got a bit of a reputation. There's a close up of the roof region there.
Sheesh.
It doesn't age, does it? It just patinas. It doesn't age, it just patinas. Yeah, it's beautiful copper work. It's impeccable. Yeah. That's true. Store the statues in the gardens and the foyers. Good point. Would you catch a show in that theater, Frankie?
Absolutely.
Well, I got 2 tickets. No.
Beauty, eh? Who are we going to go and see?
One of these days, we'll do a cross-Canada tour.
We'll go and see Rush. Oh, no, we can't. We'll go and see The Hip. Oh, no, we can't.
Who's left?
That's about it. Bryan Adams? No.
Oh,
thanks.
No thanks. No thanks.
Anne Murray? No. Neil Young, maybe if he was with Crazy Horse. Neil Young, Crazy Horse, I'd go and see that.
He's got to be 80 now.
It's Neil Young. Come on, baby, Neil Young.
Oh, I saw a video of Iggy Pop last week. He's got to be around the same age too, and he looked like a zombie.
He looks
shirt off still on the stage. It's unbelievable.
Remember Iron Maiden?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Remember Eddie, their mascot that was on all their album covers?
Don't remember him that well.
That's Iggy Pop.
Oh.
No, that's what Iggy Pop looks like.
Okay, I remember the skeleton now too. Yeah, I've seen it. Now that you tie Iggy Pop to the skeleton, I can visualize the cover of the Iron Maiden albums. Isn't that funny? Oh man. Or here's the Parliament building.
I actually pulled it up on Google Images, but that's fine. You
no.
Get what I'm saying.
Throw it in there. Let's get it in there.
Is it going to let me? Well, then it might kick you out.
That's okay. I can come back in. Yep, that's what I was picturing.
There's Iggy Pop.
Yeah,
that's right. That's exactly what he looks like right now. Like if you were to go knock on his door, first of all, you're waking him up. He fell asleep on the couch.
Yeah. Yeah.
You knock on his door, and this is what he looks like when he answers the door.
Yeah,
Yeah, what do you want?
scary.
Sorry, Ig. Sorry, Ig, dude. Sorry.
Oh man.
Sorry. Sorry, buddy.
Scary guy. Scary.
Got some good tunes though.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. And is this another preview? I thought I had sorted this area of my file. This is the Parliament building, which we'll get to as well. No slouch, this one. No slouch.
Oh yeah, come on. Again, look at the roof. Roof?
Both work.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Allah. Courthouse. What's going on here? Oh no, these are all just previews. We'll see some live, more recent. These all still stand, so we'll see them as we move forward as well.
Built on a crazy sloping street, so you get those tiny windows that turn into massive windows by the time you get to the back of the building. Ridiculous.
Yeah. Palais de Justice. Yeah, and it says Quebec, so yeah, they probably were just calling it Quebec in the old postcards. Yeah.
It's, there's a few places that are confusing like that.
Mm-hmm.
Quebec in Quebec, New York in New York.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, New York's tricky.
Then, of course, you've got Kansas City, Kansas, and Kansas City, Missouri. Is that right?
Yeah.
Then there's Sault Ste. Marie and Sault Ste. Marie, but they're spelled differently.
Sault Ste. Marie. I always said, yeah.
That's right, Salt.
There's a good example of the roofs that they put in after the fact, too. You can see on this bricker that's been flattened, I would suggest. Yeah, and they just put a little slope in, get the drainage going down there.
Oh, yeah, there's definitely lighthouses in Quebec, Vaughn. Absolutely. Montreal, Quebec, all up and down the St. Lawrence.
Take a look at the infrastructure, though. Look at all the roads, right? Brick roads, slopage, drainage. Everything here. This is all, to me, all looks like it's been damaged, a lot of these materials.
Seeing a lot of what I would call scorching.
Yeah.
Especially in the upper left corner of that building with the red trim.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And then some look like they still have retained the exact brick shape, and some are starting to venture off into other odd shapes. The Citadel, one of the entrances to the Citadel.
Outstanding. I mean, and the narrative that they will tell you is this is a military installation. So why do you have to have it so fancy just for, your British or later Canadian infantry to be marching through there? And do they even use that door? You know what I mean? Like, it's just...
Yeah. And why the columns? Just for the hell of it?
Yeah.
Where are you getting all this from?
Must be. They got money and time to spare, I guess. I don't know.
Je me souviens. What does that mean again? That's the motto.
That's basically, I remember myself. I remember my heritage.
Okay. Well, interesting.
It's a tip of the hat to their Frenchiness, French culture.
You'll remember whatever narrative we tell you to remember.
It goes way back, eh? The French, eh?
Everybody claims their superiority by saying how much further back they go than the next guy.
That's right. That's how that works. That's exactly right.
Who can dig deeper, right? My lineage can be traced to the 13th century.
That doesn't make sense.
Yeah. All right. City Hall. So you're going to see a lot of modern photographs, because I had trouble finding the old black and whites for a lot of these, believe it or not.
Well, and the nice thing about Quebec City and old Montreal, again, the old portion of Quebec City, the inside the walls, is even though they had all them fires, apparently, and the walls acted like a giant fire bowl. But but seriously, yeah, the structures that remain, that are still standing today. And of course, with it being capital, they get a lot more money thrown at them, right? That's sort of the case here in Alberta with Edmonton being the capital city.
Yeah, this is the old City Hall, and You know what's funny too? A lot of watermarks you're going to see too. So I apologize, folks, if you're looking at pictures of watermarks. They seem fairly well protected with their visuals of a lot of the buildings in Quebec City. So, in my experience, and I've done 100, 150 cities across North America, Quebec City was a strange one to research compared to the rest, for what it's worth.
It was what? Sorry?
It was a strange one to research, difficult to get the types of visuals I like to usually get.
Yeah, like stuff like this.
This is what I like to dig up. Yeah, this is
It gives you the historical context here, and remembering that they was like 70 or 80,000 people in here, and they got to build stuff like this for some reason with all the infrastructure. Yeah,
check it. Yeah, and you can see it all in the foreground. And obviously, this photograph's coming from horse and buggy days. And you can see all the tram lines in the streets. All the infrastructure looking like it was all a part of the same civilization. Wasn't separated by 100 years. You know, the building of the wall and then the implementation of the rail lines. This is all a part of an infrastructure that was one, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah.
Yeah, it was already sort of one cohesive, functioning.
Yeah, I think so.
Infrastructure. You know,
I
the
think
buildings, the roads, the rail system, the steam systems, all of that.
And again, this is like another great old and new comparison, just to give you a sense of how these things don't age at all. 100 years apart, these two photos.
That's why I find it so preposterous when they say, "Oh, we had to remove this or that because it was deemed unsafe." Oh, so it stood for 100 years and was fine, and all of a sudden now you clowns take over and you take the towers off or take the statues off out of the nooks. Oh, a strong wind's going to knock over that 8-foot marble statue. Get out of here with that song and dance.
Yeah. It's the same old story. It's always the same old story. Yeah. There's the Chateau Frontenac in the foreground. We've got some pencil action going on here in this photograph, I think, too. Certain things have been shaded in, it looks to me.
Yeah, they sort of tried to bump up the contrast by penciling in some of the darks.
Looking like we've got a central fountain location here on the left as well, which is interesting.
Look at how every dormer's got to have a little pointy little top to it.
Little hat.
Get out of here with this. I mean,
yeah.
Like the guy, like picture, that's the 1890s, 1880s, 1870s. They're building these, right? Yeah. Some guy's got a rope around his waist that's attached to the top of that roof somewhere with, I don't know, a big nail nailed into it or something, or who knows, some kind of clamp.
Yeah.
And then he's kind of shimmied down onto there with his hammer and his nails or whatever. And he's working on that up there.
Yeah. It's
and
pretty far
and they come to him and say, "Make it pointy, Jean-Claude, make it pointy." Yeah. And he's like, "Yes, come on, I gotta make this thing pointy up here.
I'm sick and tired of doing this for these rich bastards. Didn't we not have our revolution?"
Like, I mean, just the extra, I know I say it all the time, like change the broken record, Frankie, but the extra effort that it takes to put that pointy little bit on the top of every one of those.
They've all got dormers. They've got these neat little towers and cupolas everywhere too. And they got right here. Look at this one. You got I know it gets grainy, but Daily Telegraph.
Oh yeah, because that's
a sign here.
I'm sure that's why that building was built with those cupolas and domes, so that you could have a telegraph service in there.
Yeah, we got to get the dome on top of the telegraph building. Quick.
See, I got to send my Nana a telegram to let her know I'm getting married, but oh no, wait, that building doesn't have a dome on it. I'm not going in there to send them to get a telegram sent. I don't trust them unless they have a dome.
Yeah. Courthouse. I think I showed this earlier briefly. Watermarks.
Black and white.
Yeah. Here's your timeline. Here's the 1880s. And just a quick hop back over to the population demographics. Just to refresh on that. 1880s, 60,000 people living in Quebec City, and keep all that in mind as we look at the upcoming. Not much of a population growth between the 1870s, 80s, and 90s either. It's kind of stagnant there. So we'll keep that in mind when we look at how massive these structures are.
See, my parents live in a small city here in Alberta that's about 65,000, 75,000 people. And there's no building that's even a third that size in that whole city.
Yet at a time before we had all the technology to build the way we do these days, they were knocking
Like
these
even
things
their city hall is a 3-story building, and it's maybe a quarter of that size of this thing.
Yeah. Let's take a closer look at the front of this. Just in case you thought it was just a smooth surface. Not quite, eh?
Sheesh.
Not quite.
Just all the time in the world just to be dink, 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 chiseling away. Or, I mean, even if they were poured in molds, it's still going to be lugged up there, mounted up in there, finished.
Yeah. 1880s.
Jeez, man.
Was this the courthouse or the city hall? I cannot remember.
Wow. Look at that.
It's beautiful. Yeah. But we will move on to the Ursuline Convent. And we saw this in that drawing bird's eye. Remember in the beginning there?
Yes. Yep. I remember.
Yeah. Take a look at the date on this one. 1639.
1639. Yeah, well,
now that's Wikipedia, of course.
I mean, and we're taught to say, well, it's Quebec, it's out east. Of course, it's going to be much earlier. But we all know how the timelines have been fudged around.
We don't even have a population for that time frame.
No, so it could have been like 6 people. Like we don't.
It was the nuns that built it. The Ursuline always have that. The nuns themselves built it.
They're good builders, the nuns. Because they're tough ladies.
Look how big this thing is.
They're strong.
This is massive.
Actually, they're just good fundraisers, and somebody else built it. Is the thing, like manually built it.
Yeah,
they're just the ones that browbeat everybody into giving up their hard-earned cash.
And this is the interior of the chapel in the Ursuline Academy.
Sheesh. Again, just no expense spared. No, all the time in the world.
What do we got here? Little angel faces. Little angel faces.
Little cherubim all in there. Sure, why not?
Why not? I got a local carver who does those back in the 1600s. Right? Look, it's balcony too. Right? You got an upper balcony area. Why not?
And then the ceiling is still, 40 feet up from that upper balcony. Wow, man.
Yeah, at some point they must have been saying, "Can we not just take all the wood for the scaffold and build our own home with it?" Maybe maybe that was the deal.
Yeah, when you're done, you get to keep the wood from the scaffolding. And these are these construction workers. Well, I'm already a builder. See, I can build my own house.
It'll survive the fire.
Well, yeah, because it's the fireproof wood.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm smart. I'm not going to use that flammable stone, huh?
Yeah. The Hotel Dieu. This is, I think, what we saw in the beginning. Hotel Dieu. I think used as a hospital. I don't think. Here, still stands.
Yes, yeah. Yes.
Yeah, you're familiar with this?
Hotel Dieu is God, the God Hotel. Dieu is God in French.
Okay. Yeah. I think so. Mon Dieu. Yeah. I think I have a timeline on this somewhere too. And there's like an old version, supposedly, of the Hotel Dieu.
Yeah, it's basically a church-run hospital, from what I understand.
That's kind of what I gathered from my research too. And I thought I had the timeline on that one, but maybe not. Nice looking structure, though. Right.
Again, that Canadiana that we're told, with the extreme angled mansard roof, probably green, and then the towers with the conical domes and all of that. And again, all of those dormers have that little pointy hat on them.
Look at the corner one here. That's like a Nazi helmet.
Oh, easy now.
Sorry, I just screwed any sort of traction. This is gonna get.
Hey, I wet my jockeys here.
Well, we're not in it for the ratings, so you know.
No, man. I mean, like when you zoomed in on it and said, "Look at the one in the corner," I was just completely flabbergasted.
Yeah, look, it's
the extra effort.
Why would you do that? Come on.
I'm glad they made these buildings as beautiful as they did, but I mean, there's got to be some kind of function to the form of it. It's just too good to be just to say, "Hey, look at it." You know what I mean?
And
I mean, even this is just supposed to be a gate into the city.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, so why do you need your city gate to be so fancy with the turret, with the conical dome and the alternating stone and along the top? And it's, come on, man.
Supposed to be 1700s, I believe, too, or early 1800s. They built this.
Yeah.
So. All right, we'll move on. And I guarantee I've missed quite a bit from Quebec City. I think just the search was tricky, and I'm sure any of you from Quebec that are watching this or who have been there will point out that I missed a couple important ones.
Yeah, let us know. Leave a comment on either on my channel or on Chris's if you watch it after the fact, and if you're from Quebec, yeah, leave us a comment and let us know.
La Fabrique. I think this is a factory where they made fabrics.
Makes sense to me.
1872 this was supposedly built.
Because you want a beautiful factory that looks like a high school or a town hall. Oh, no, that's my factory.
Yeah.
What do you mean? You must make fancy clocks there or something beautiful furniture? No, we just weave fabric. Fabric for all the awnings that they hang on these beautiful buildings.
Yeah, right. Yeah, keep the sun out. Yeah. Come on. Now, here's some of those row houses again, I think, that we probably saw in color earlier. Wow.
Just outstanding, man.
Yeah.
Look at all the tech on top of those, too.
Amazing. The inverted, what is it? The concave, is that concave or convex? Like, you see how it sort of curves up the roof? Like, that's tricky work. Very tricky work.
Yeah. Concave, I believe.
Yeah, you're probably right. Convex would be... Yeah, okay. Let's not get into it. Yeah, there's that massive wall again, that gate.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so this is the... I showed this earlier briefly. Again, watermarks everywhere. But this is part of Laval University in Quebec City. And the old... What did I say it was? A seminary. The old seminary.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, with the crazy cupolas on top.
Jesuit seminary, for sure, right? Because they needed a seminary. We have some old looks at it, too. Just high quality work here. Very high quality. There's a nice look.
Think of like how carefully they have to craft all of those angles. As you said, it's very difficult. But also you got to think you don't want water, ice, and snow. Don't forget, this is Quebec. This is Canada. And Quebec is north of Montreal.
Mm-hmm.
Northeast of Montreal. So, they have a bloody winter festival there. You get some snow and ice is what I'm trying to say here, bud.
Yeah.
So, like, with all those dormers and all those angles and everything, they've also got to be carefully crafted to avoid all of that moisture getting in there.
They also have these, what sometimes look like chimneys with that half circle top. You see on some stuff. It's certainly not a chimney, I don't think, unless it's been modified and turned into one.
No, I think a lot of that has to do with the old air exchange system, where they could open flues that are in, sort of, for lack of a better word, ductwork that ran through the walls, and it was attached to the, the whole steam system and everything. And by opening flues and angling those windows that are above doors, the name escapes me right now. But anyway, you could transom windows. Thank you. And then also a lot of these towers have the louvers or vents in them. They could just angle it and it would sort of suck out the stale air, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, no, it makes
they
sense.
could suck in fresher air, and
Yeah.
also they could, exchange heat in the winter, and cool the place down in the summer.
I wonder what this is even made of. What kind of metal or painted metal I don't know. It's just anyway.
In kind.
Yeah, beautiful. Laval, part of Laval University now. Yeah. This is a Methodist church. I just thought I'd throw it in there because looks like it's 500 years old.
It does. I mean, and again, all the little tech and the bits on the top. Come on, man! All those nodes.
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah. This is called the Morin Center. And it was supposedly built in 1814.
Wow. Okay, yeah.
And it is a place that you can go to. I think this might be. I don't know. There's another church down the way here.
Very slopey. Can you zoom in a little more on the steps going up to the front entrance there? Are you able to? Yeah, look at that. Look at that big gap there. Here. The sidewalk is. Yeah, and the sidewalk and the steps. Watch your step there, Jean-Jacques.
It goes from nothing to 10, 15.
Oh, I know it. Who's I fell and I hurt my ass.
Oh, this is in the summer too. Imagine the winter.
I tumbled down the street. What a goofy way to
the Morin. Yeah, this is all part of this. Is the Morin Center. Again, having what you see on the Chateau Frontenac with the multicolored looking brick stone.
Yeah,
somewhere in between.
Really low windows there in the front too.
It has lower reaches as well. This is some of the lower reaches. You can see how thick the walls are in there.
Yeah, it's like 3 feet, man.
Yeah, and then you have this this domed arch action going on inside. Also had a chapel. They all had chapels. Oh no! Sorry, this is the library. My mistake. This is the Morin.
Might as well be a chapel. It looks like a bloody chapel.
It's the library. It's 1814 in Quebec City. They built the Morin.
I need a place to put my books, eh?
Yeah.
I'll just build me a library that looks like this.
Yeah.
Like whatever you say, buddy. Yeah. Sheesh, man.
Hey, Jacques, I'm getting sick and tired of building all this beautiful stuff for them, but nothing for us.
That is just...
Yeah. Symmetrical. Would you say? Symmetrical? Perfect.
I mean, could you think of a more beautiful place to sit and read? That's just... It looks like a museum. It looks like a Russian subway station.
Yeah.
That's how fancy it is.
And that's worth a video too. Those things are crazy. Yeah. This is the old customs house.
Look at all the snow.
Yeah. Right up against the building there. You can see all the snow piled right up against
those low arch windows there on the bottom.
Yeah, you could probably walk down there. They got the little gate out front here.
Yeah, they got a fence so you don't fall down in there.
1830, the old customs house, they call it the old customs house because there's a new customs house. That's the new customs house. 1860.
Sheesh.
Yeah. They had to build a new one 30 years later, apparently. In the 1860s, when there was 50,000 people living in Quebec City, and we're going to put 6 columns.
Looks like something in Washington, D.C., man.
Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't make sense. I live in a city of almost 100,000 people, and I can't even envision them even thinking about building something like this with the building materials that we're looking at. It's just...
Hell, I live in a city of almost 2 million people that's basically, from the get-go, has been, right out of the gates, has been considered a boom town, has always been called a boom town.
Mm-hmm.
Where they're constantly building, and they would never build anything like that, even here in Calgary, man. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, they have in the past, and they're still, some of them are still standing. Mm-hmm. But these days, no, they wouldn't bother to put the pediment and the columns and all that. The dome, and then the coping underneath that top row of windows there, that sort of molding, dental molding.
Yeah.
Made out of stone or whatever, like arch windows and all. No, they'd be like, nah, man, just put a big tall rectangle with glass and steel right here.
They built a domed courthouse in where I live now 20 years ago or so. It's pretty sad excuse for a dome, and they had to come back and redo all the copper because they didn't know how to flash it properly to keep the weather out. So like 10, 15 years later, they came back and redid it. It cost the city a fortune.
There's the Ukrainian Orthodox Sobor here in Calgary that originally was built in 1938.
Yeah.
But apparently they extensive renovations in, I want to say it was either the 1980s or 1990s. And they basically rebuilt the whole thing, and they made the domes even more impressive than they already were. And the old ones were like onion domes, like copper onion domes.
Mm-hmm.
But on the new ones, they actually did a very impressive job.
Mm-hmm.
There's cupolas with these domes, but they're made of like copper sheeting, and it's magnificent. I was going to shoot it for my channel, but I'm like, no, this was like built in the 80s, basically. Like it's not even.
Yeah, it's not to say
old world.
We can't do this, but we don't really, right?
Very often we don't, and in some cases with some of this stuff, though, I would say like some of those townhouses with the mansard roofs with the crazy dormers, I would say that we can't now. Like we would do it, and it would leak, and it would water and ice would get in there, and it would be freezing cold in the winter, and it would be a giant shitstorm. Pardon my French.
It's kind of like, I don't know if you saw the Notre Dame Basilica or Cathedral, the reopening recently. It looks very sterile and modern still, now that they've redone it. I don't know if you noticed that, but that's the impression I got.
I hadn't actually seen any of it yet. No, I should.
I've heard it compared to a luxury hotel. I've heard somebody compare it to a luxury hotel. But,
great. Some of those things are some of the gaudiest things ever.
Yeah, and it's not quite that bad because it still retains the shape, the classic. Okay. But there's something missing. There's something we just.
I think in a lot of cases we could build like this, but we just they just have excuses as to why we don't. It's not cost effective, and yada yada yada, and the logistics of it, and so on and so forth, and time constraints. Although generally it seems like build times for modern buildings are longer than the build times for older buildings of equivalent size, but be that as it may.
A lot of the time.
But I think in some cases it is that they just can't. Like if they did, it would be just crap.
Yeah, there's just something missing from the whole process.
Hey, look, it's the old funicular that goes up to the chateau.
Yeah. I wanted to mention that as well. We found one of these. I found one of these in Edmonton when I did my Edmonton video, and I know Pittsburgh and Duluth, and there's quite a few places that had these, but these are somewhat unique. Quite the interesting engineering.
Where was it that you and I looked on our show here, the CANUCKLEHEADS, and they had two of them? Was it Hamilton?
That would be my guess. I don't recall.
I want to say it was Hamilton, and they were only a few yards away from each other, like 50, 60 yards, like a couple of blocks, a couple of streets away. And I was like, really? What's the? It's like they were competing against one another or something.
Two different companies.
Yeah, one went up to a hotel, like to the I can't remember the hotel. Another one just went up to a street.
Yeah.
I want to say it was Hamilton. Dragon
Sage
might.
Good guess. Yeah. What are we looking at here? Oh, I'll move on. We'll get to this one in a sec. That's the post office. Here we have a little narrative for Parliament. This is the Parliament buildings.
This is basically Canada's version of the state capitol building.
That's right. So we get 11-year build time on that. Okay. Yeah, you took 11 years.
I could sort of swallow that.
Yeah. This picture is coming from 1890, apparently, which is only 2 years after it was completed. So I don't know whether you believe that or not, but
seems fishy. It's very sus.
You have the lower entrance as well. Very interesting. Very prominent looking structure there. Look at this. Look how, as I zoom down on it, you can reminding me of the Star Fort that we looked at earlier. That just more of this probably is a part of this structure, you know.
Yeah, there's earthenworks that are covering up, like they've either moved earth to cover it or mud flood or something.
Yeah, it's just something there. There's another look, modern day look at. It's a nice looking building.
Yeah,
Definitely.
it's beautiful.
They've
Yeah,
modernized.
she's a beauty, eh? Look at it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So it's like it's the very top almost looks like a crown.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Yeah, that's what it reminds me of. The fountain still intact here out front too.
It's kind of rare.
Here, quick look at the interior, just a sneak peek. Didn't find a lot from the interior. So you got painted ceilings. 1880s now, remember, in Quebec City. 1880s painted ceilings. 1880s, 60,000 people.
Just all the time in the world.
Why not? It's easy. Everybody was really good at what they did, and they did not have screens to waste their time. We're so lazy now with our screens. I hear that all the time.
Right.
Yeah, it's laziness that we don't do this.
And occupational health and safety too, of course.
Yes, OHS, yeah. There's Jacques Cartier. Got him memorialized here.
Of course.
Early European explorer.
Jacques.
Yeah, all sorts of figures as we move up here, though. To the top. And the crown on top. Beauty. She's a beauty.
For sure, bud. Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
Outstanding.
And there it is again. It's actually a lot bigger than it seems when you see it just from the front there. There's a lot more building. The big square. I can see how much building there is. There's something on the inside that's probably difficult to access too. The courtyard there.
Yes. Yeah. It's funny how a lot of old world structures like that seem to have more of a function rather than it being, let's say, a residential building or something. They have those inner courtyards.
Mm-hmm. You see this a lot. There's some cities in Europe that have that. If you look from above, you can see that they're square or rectangular with an open area.
Yeah, Paris and London, I think both of them have,
if
I'm not mistaken. I'm sure there's many more. I'm sure there's a lot in Germany and so on.
Mm-hmm. There's that Methodist church we looked at earlier. I just thought this was an interesting representation of the old and the new. The contrast.
Yeah, what an eyesore that thing on the right is. Like, somebody should tear that down. So I hope that burns down.
It melts down. It's all glass.
It's that flammable glass, just like the Crystal Palace in London. Speaking of London,
That's right. Yeah, the Crystal Palace.
Actually, Toronto's Crystal Palace burnt down too.
Yeah, an interesting part of the old world narrative, to be sure. Here's the post office. Let me get the date. I have it on the next one here. 1873. They put this one up. The old post office.
Yeah, what a beauty.
They're busy in the mid 1800s, don't you think? Like early to mid.
Well, and when you're sorting letters, you gotta have dormers that have portal windows in them.
Yeah,
it's a must.
Let's see. Did they change it? I wonder. Have they changed it? Oh, let's look. See if we can dissect some of this. I think they've maybe taken some of that off in the modern day. See what they've done here? They've squared off the top. Can you see that?
I'm not seeing the dormers with the portals anymore.
So what I think they did, they built it higher, and when they did that, they gobbled up the circular corner and the dormers and the mansard roof, and it just sort of squared off the edge. So it takes that beautiful curvaceous look off of the top of it.
Yeah, it takes those curved lines away. Well, I mean, there's still curved lines now, but it's not as embellished.
Yeah, and like, really, did they need to do that? Did they really need that space up there, or what, higher ceiling up there? I don't know. Anyway,
yeah, it's nonsense. I can't think of what a justification would be on that, because it's an extra expense to do that.
Yeah. Unless you want to hide something.
They're trying to hide something, or they were having trouble maintaining it because they didn't know how to do it.
Railway station. Some very steep roofs. Gare du Palais. Gare being garage station, right? Gare. Go to Paris, you go to Gare du Nord or Palace Station.
Yeah.
Built in 1915 by the CPR, we're told. We are told.
And the good old Canadian Pacific Railway, even way out in the Atlantic area.
1918, you think? I don't know. Looks a lot like the rest of what we're seeing.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe it was redesignated in 1918. Maybe that's when they finished their renovations and renovated it.
Got the old Via Rail on the frontier.
I bet you originally that was a different building and they just scooped it up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the railway after all.
Well, to think they're building like this in 1915 in Quebec City, it's like, well, if they could do that then, we should be easily being able to pull this off in the modern day.
Yeah.
With all this stuff going on here, and like, who's ordering those pieces? Who's building those pieces? I don't know. I just don't buy it. You know me. I don't buy it.
No, I'd be more inclined to say that it's older than they're saying, and it's been repurposed. And when they were finished monkeying around with it, then they said, "Oh, that's the build date."
Yeah, exactly. So this is another tobacco factory. Can't really make out. Oh, that's English.
You're like, I'm shocked.
Wait a minute, am I in Quebec City? But look, you get the domes on the corners.
Yeah, well, you know, because you're making cigarettes. It's got to be fancy.
Cigars.
Oh, actually, yeah, that's right, cigars and pipe tobacco.
Like, are these poles actually bent this way, do you think? Like, it makes me wonder about the photograph itself, too, but it's kind of a weird place to have a hitch in a telephone pole. Maybe. I don't know.
It does look weird. Maybe it's when they attached the electric line above for the streetcar tram, the trolley.
Pulled it over.
It pulled it a bit.
Could be, yeah. Could have torqued it. Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, Saint Jean Baptiste.
Outstanding.
Not bad, eh? Not
bad. Wow, we.
A very devout folk in Quebec City. Catholic to their core. I might have narrative here. Here we go. Let's. Original structure was completed in 1847, but a disastrous fire that leveled much of the city, destroyed it.
That's that fire. Wait, which one? That one.
1881. The current church was built in 1884. Wait, out of 7 types of Italian marble, how many? Not 6, not 5, 7.
I don't believe you.
Anyway, you guys can you can do the Wikipedia and get more narrative on the Saint Jean Baptiste Church if you want. There it is. And you know, at the time they spent so much time on the exterior on this one, Frankie, that they didn't do a whole lot on the inside to make it.
Yeah, they kind of just speed run through the interiors. I bet. Yeah.
Yeah, they blew the budget, right? So all
the
rafters.
Yeah.
Just kidding. There's the inside of the Saint Jean Baptiste Cathedral.
Thought we wouldn't notice, but we did.
Quebec City. I told you it was a gem. It's a gem, isn't it?
You have more gold in there. Gold and wood. I want it all gold and all wood. Now. Look at that, man. Look at all this stuff hanging from the ceiling. It's like, what is all that, man?
I noticed they said the fire was in 1881 and it was rebuilt like in 1885. Like, is that when they started building it? Is that when they finished building it? Did it only take the 1 year? You know, it's thin, paper thin.
There's no way that this would take a year. Of course, they would try to tell us that.
Yeah. with a pipe organ, of course, in the background there. But
That's outstanding, man.
yeah, something else. We are closing in on the end of the file here for Quebec City. So those of you that are still with us, I certainly appreciate you guys joining us for this Knuckleheads episode 14.
82 of you watching between the two channels.
Cool.
So thank you very much. Really appreciate all that support.
Yeah.
That's very, very, very kindly of you. If you haven't already, give a couple of fellas the thumbs up. Do all the other things. It'd be great. Make sure you're still subscribed because, shenanigans.
You never know, right? You never know. Here's a nice look at the what they have to do with the streets and all the rest of that. Walled off lower regions.
Yeah, that was silly.
I have this labeled as a seminary. I don't think it's the same one as the Laval Seminary. Another seminary, I guess. And another this is female prison. Sorry. Whoa, I almost confused a seminary with a female prison.
That would be a terrible mistake. Oh wow! You don't want to mix up those buses. Ship these ones. Where are these ones going? The seminary. Yeah, send them to the seminary.
You know what? They say they built this one in the 20s, I believe. 1920s. Like,
I'm having trouble swallowing that pill.
It's a tough one.
It's not going down.
It's
got too many hallmarks of. It's just got too many hallmarks of older buildings.
Who's engineering this kind of stuff on the corner here? Back then. Yeah. Come on.
And then all that stacked brick between floors and stuff too. Like, come on. Come on, man.
Anyway, it's a women's prison, so it's a nice women's prison. We'll move on.
There's no yard. There's no walled yard, fenced yard. I guess you're not allowed to go outside in the women's prison.
Good point. You'd think there'd be at least some sort of chain link doohickey.
Something.
Yeah, right. The Saint Anne de Beaupré Basilica. Now, my son went to this one. This is on the tour.
Mm-hmm.
When you go there. Again, with the low entrance.
Yeah, and then you got to go up 11.4 million stairs to get into the main door, which is impressive, but I bet you originally that door was way taller, like street level all the way up to where it is.
Yeah. This one's sharing the same narrative too, like built in the 19-teens, 20s. I believe I don't have the date off the top of my head, but it was right in that range. And it's just really hard to envision them doing this kind of work in the 1920s in Quebec.
The size of it.
Yeah, right. He said, my son, as he walked in, he said this, just really noticed how high the ceiling was walking through the main area there. Yeah, and what do you know? Same story. They weren't able to finish the interior because they blew the budget.
Bummer.
This is all they could come up with.
You have just big giant columns with these capitals on them and stuff. Sheesh. And then the ceiling is just redonkulous, of course.
Just put every square inch going to be covered with something, right?
Like, to give you an idea of the height of those ceilings, look at the pews, like the backs of the pews where you would sit.
Mm-hmm.
And then look way up.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
They got a little ugly looking fountain out front, if you ask me. That's not an old world fountain at all. But strange story on this one, though. I'm really surprised that it's such a recent in our timeline.
Well, all the fellows came back from WW1 and got to building churches, I guess.
Apparently. Yeah. This is what they could come up with. What are they depicting on the ceiling there, too?
No idea, man.
Strange. All right, another quick look at that. What is it? Funicular?
Funicular.
Funicular. Yeah. I keep thinking of the word vernacular. So funicular, vernacular. They're pretty similar.
It's fun. F-U-N, funicular.
That is the problem with the English language.
Oh, she's crazy, that one. Yeah. that language. She's
English.
crazy.
All you English speaking say everything backwards.
Like Yoda. Backwards everything, say you. Yes. Anyway.
And you know what? A lot of
Get off track here.
you were just about to do a Yoda impression?
Nope.
Well, this is my last visual. This is the YMCA in Quebec City.
Look at that. Yeah, again, the mansard roof and arched windows. And streets are looking kind of mucky and yucky. Or has it just rained and those are cobblestone or paving stone? No, pretty much all of old Quebec City is all paving stone or cobblestone. So maybe it's just rained or something.
That would have been hard on the horses' hoofs, that's for sure.
Hell, it could be ice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
anyway,
outstanding.
That does it for my file on Quebec City. So,
as always, outstanding, man. You just knocked it out of the park there, eh, buddy?
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Frankie. Thanks.
Wow, that's... And like you said at the top of the second half of the show, when you first open up your file, a lot of those are still standing.
It's pretty incredible.
So if you're in the area, go and put your hands on these things and stomp around them and throw a camera at them, and take some photos or take some video. Do some boots on the ground in and around Quebec. And again, the thing about the wall portion that goes around the old portion of the city is that you can see evidence of where it's mud flooded. Like the ground is just almost completely kind of waved over or washed over it in parts where it's only a few feet above the surface of these sort of undulating grounds. And then as we clearly saw, I mean, some other parts of those walls are 30 feet high. It's just the amount of effort and logistics and blood, sweat, and tears that it would take to build all of that in the time that they say.
With the amount of people they say they had.
Well, that too. Ridiculous. Even if you had the military and engineers come in from, England or France, whoever was controlling the area at the time. You just got to shake your head. It just boggles the mind. And then on top of that, there's a star fort next to it. So they weren't happy with just having a star city. We'll have an extra bastion star fort over here too.
Maybe it was a competition.
Who knows?
It's a build-off.
Maybe they were all connected in one big, huge star formation at one point. We've seen that before too, where portions have been covered up, but you can see remnants of where they connect to other arms or angles of other star forts that are sort of close by, but not immediately next to each other. Like a few hundred yards or even a couple of thousand yards away from each other. So yeah, very, very compelling stuff in Quebec City.
Oh yeah, she's old world, all right.
Yeah, definitely a lot of stuff going on. And again, we just scratched the surface. And again, as a reminder, if you're from the area, if you're living around there, let us know in the comments. Let us know what we missed. We could always revisit other buildings that may have slipped through the cracks. Because, yeah, you were saying it's a tricky one.
It was a tricky one to research, which surprised me a little bit, actually. I thought it was going to be a slam dunk. But I had to do a little more navigating than usual. So I think they had to grab that one early. And that's why it's so early in our narrative, right along with the eastern seaboard of the States. That's a real gem, Quebec City.
Yes, absolutely. I would agree with that. All of the old Canadian port cities that are on the east are, they're very significant. And I think they really monkeyed around with the timelines on some of those cities. Quebec City, Old Montreal, Nova Scotia, St. John's, the really, what we're told are the really old cities.
Yeah. I see someone said Winnipeg in the chat. We did do Winnipeg together too, and we went deep on Winnipeg for sure.
Yeah, Winnipeg, I think, was a really special city here in Canada's past. Pre-reset. It was equivalent to some of those great American white cities or golden cities, like Chicago and so on. I think Winnipeg was one of the preeminent cities here in the New World, and it had to be stomped on. But you still see some evidence, and it's still a transportation hub in North America, and I think that's partially what role it played pre-reset as well.
Yeah.
And it's pretty much smack dab in the middle of Canada from east to west. So that's got to mean something too, just in terms of.
Yeah, and it goes straight down into the American Midwest too, right down through Fargo, I think. Yeah.
So yeah, definitely very significant. Anyway, that was a great show.
Yeah.
Great episode.
Well, that was fun. I enjoyed that. Yeah.
So what's next on the agenda for episode 15? What do you think?
I don't know.
Have you had anybody reach out to you lately and say, "Hey, can you do this or that?"
Well, I have had a suggestion that maybe the Knuckleheads take this show on the road.
Oh, maybe jump outside of Canada land.
Knuckleheads go on a little road trip, maybe.
Maybe venture into the U.S. or jump across the pond.
Across the pond, I think maybe would be interesting.
I think that would be interesting.
Yeah, I'd like to take a plane across the pond.
All right, let's do that. Let's pencil that in.
Okay, we'll have to come up with a location. If anyone has any ideas, what are we thinking? Maybe in the UK or in France or something like that.
Yeah, sort of, pretty Western Europe, UK, France. It's the show's got a budget, eh? So
I'd like to go to Scotland. I think that's just off the top of my head.
Oh, Scotland would be, yeah. I mean, come on.
Like a Glasgow or something like that would be fun. I think I could eat some haggis and have some scotch, I guess.
Sure, yeah. All that stuff. Get into a fight and headbutt a guy.
Yeah.
Wear a kilt.
Oh yeah.
Do a caber toss. I don't know.
Well, we'll tentatively.
All the Scottish listeners right now are just cringing so hard their teeth are shattering.
What do you think? You want to try Glasgow? Glasgow. There. See, I was saying it wrong.
Aye, to be sure, laddie, we could go to Glasgow.
That'll be fun.
That's actually, that's another name for a headbutt. Speaking of headbutts, it's called a Glasgow kiss.
Yes, I've heard that before.
Yeah, I give him a right proper Glasgow kiss.
Yeah, okay, that sounds like a plan.
Well, and there's a link to Canada land and Scotland anyways, right? Our first PM was Scottish, and there's big Scottish settlements, and a lot of the early pioneers that pushed westward were Scottish. A lot of the RCMP were Scottish. The railroads, Scottish.
East Coast, too. A lot of Scots influence there.
The beer barons, they were Scottish.
Yeah. The Scotch barons.
Oh, the Scotch barons were definitely Scottish, eh? No, wait, they were Irish.
No, they were Irish.
All right, everybody. So, leave us some suggestions in the comments or links below to how you can get in touch with either myself or Chris at Old World Exploration. So you could shoot us a line and say, hey, why don't you guys do Sault Ste. Marie and Sault Ste. Marie?
Yeah, we could. Well, we're open to anything, really. And I want to say thanks again for those of you guys that are joined us tonight live. And, of course, thanks to anyone that's watching this recorded version as well. It's a lot of fun. Frankie and I are having a lot of fun chatting with each other. It just makes it worthwhile seeing you guys in the chat and knowing that you're enjoying what we're doing here as well. This is kind of, it turned out to be a very fun side project for both of us, where we get to kind of explore Canada together and present it to you folks. And you folks have been really receptive to goofing around with a couple of knuckleheads and poking holes in the narrative here of the new world and up in the Great White North, eh? Yeah.
So yeah, keep them coming. Keep the suggestions coming. And we'll definitely be treading into some uncharted waters, at least for us. Couple of knuckleheads over here in Canada, over in Western Canada, even.
I'm a touch nervous to take the
I'm
flight,
scared.
but
I'm a little scared. It's going to be a heck of a trip.
it's the farthest from home I've ever been.
We're going to probably have to fly from here to Toronto, and then from there to
Yeah.
over to wherever.
Edinburgh.
Edinburgh or Glasgow or
probably Glasgow. I'm sure you could fly straight to Glasgow.
It's too bad they don't have airships. We could take a nice leisurely, luxurious air cruise.
Yeah, that would be an enjoyable mode of transportation.
Oh yeah, they had dining halls and live entertainment and music and sleeping quarters and lounge areas. Come on, man. It's like a hotel in the sky. It would have been fantastic.
Yeah.
No, we're going to stick you in metal tubes and shoot you across the sky, and we're going to make you take your shoes off before you get on the plane. And
shoes? That's it?
Maybe you'll get a sandwich on the flight. Maybe if we don't run out, or we'll just tell everybody we ran out, but we really didn't have any to begin with. Anyway, on that note, I think that's it for the show, eh?
Sounds good. Was a blast.
So, yes. So thanks again, everybody, and thanks to you, Chris. Really appreciate it as always.
Yeah.
So last reminder, if you haven't already, please, everybody, show your support. That's the best way to support either of our channels. Although, Chris, maybe you want to plug a couple of your books and your merch and whatnot.
Well, I have a section on the YouTube channel and on the Rumble channel that if you're not already aware of, I have a couple books available and a couple other things, merch and stuff like that. So I did provide ways for people to support what I do here on online, because it is fairly time consuming, and it's nice to be compensated and appreciated, and it's nice to provide something tangible in exchange as well too. So
yeah, you get a little something. It's just in time for the holidays,
or well, maybe a little after the holidays if you're ordering now.
Wow. Yeah, okay, that's true, especially here in Canada with the postal strike right now. So that's convenient over the holidays. It's like the 6th time in my lifetime that these buggers have done it, at least.
We bookended this broadcast with the griping about the postal strike. We did it on the front end, and we're doing it here on the back end. So.
See, life is like a circle, buddy.
Yeah.
As above, so below, and what goes around comes around, and everything's cyclical and stuff. And on that, we'll see you on the next one. Thanks again, everybody.
See you guys.
Thanks, bud. Cheers.
Take off, you hosers.
I think that was like our best show ever.